Hey babies, welcome back to another Deck Tech and League video. This week we're playing Ad Nauseam. The deck list we'll be playing with is on screen now and in the description below. This deck is way different from what Ad Nauseam used to be. We're not playing any Simian Spirit Guide since it got banned. We're not playing Lightning Storm since we don't have the Mana Monkey. And we have a bunch of new cards too. It plays way more like Legacy Doomsday, and I think it's really sweet. Let's get into the deck tech. The win condition our whole deck's based around is Thassa's Oracle. It lets us win the game if we can empty out our entire library, and it has a pseudo-scry effect to make the card not entirely dead in multiples. The combo pieces we're using to get rid of our library are 4 copies of Spoils of the Vault and 2 copies of Ad Nauseam. Spoils is by far the best of our combo pieces to have in multiples because it can find the other pieces we're missing so easily. Don't be afraid to YOLO this card. If you're at 7 life and the card you're missing isn't in the top 6 cards of your library anyway, you are probably going to lose. And Ad Nauseam is a great way to draw additional cards even if you don't have a Phyrexian on life or an Angel's Grace, because the average converted mana cost for our deck is 0.9. This means in our deck, Ad Nauseam has a better life to card draw ratio than Yawgmoth's Bargain. The cards we're using to not die to the rest of our combo are 4 copies of Angel's Grace and 3 copies of Phyrexian on life. Angel's Grace can be fine in multiples because it can protect us for an additional turn, stall out the game, let us draw some cards, maybe tick down some suspend cards. And it's also really funny against combo matchups. It really skews those in our favor, and it makes the mirror match between 2 Ad Nauseam decks just absolute hell to play. 3 copies of Phyrexian on life, definitely not as good in multiples, our worst combo card to have in multiples, but it can still save us for an additional turn, maybe multiple if we're playing against something like a burn deck. And it also gives us the option to combo with just 3 mana if we play this on turn 3 and then Thassa's Oracle and Spoils of the Vault on the following turn. For cantrips, we're playing 4 copies of Serum Visions and 2 Sleight of Hand, both fairly self-explanatory, but it's worth noting on turn 1 it's better to cast Sleight of Hand because you want to have the best possible odds of suspending Lotus Bloom. I'm playing 4 copies of Profane Tutor because it's the same cost as Demonic Tutor and it comes off suspend on the key turn for our deck, turn 4, and I'm playing 1 copy of Demonic Bargain just to add some more consistency to the deck. For ramp, we're playing 4 copies of Lotus Bloom and 4 copies of Pentad Prism. Lotus Bloom is particularly strong if we can suspend it on turn 1, but every turn after that it gets a bit more underwhelming, and Pentad Prism is a key piece of the deck because it enables us to win as early as turn 3. Lastly, we have a little bit of interaction with 2 copies of Pact of Negation and 2 copies of Thoughtseize. They're mostly going to be used for protecting the combo and making sure we can actually resolve things, but occasionally you can use them defensively. In our mana base, we've got 3 copies of City of Brass and 3 copies of Gemstone Mine, both of them being untapped lands that produce any color of mana that can be really useful. Occasionally, Gemstone Mine is a pain in the ass when it sacrifices itself and you really don't want it to, but it also enables some cool synergies with our fast lands by sacrificing itself and letting them come in untapped, so I'd say that more than makes up for it. Speaking of fast lands, we have 3 Darkslick Shores and 3 Seachrome Coast, and we're also playing 3 copies of Clearwater Pathway, which is a pathway that provides both of our main colors of mana. We're playing 2 Scry lands, 1 Temple of Deceit and 1 Temple of Enlightenment. Both of them help us dig just a little bit deeper for our combo pieces. And for basic lands, we're playing 2 Basic Island and 1 Basic Swamp, so we can technically still do something under a Blood Moon, although that's unlikely, and so that Ghost Quarters / Field of Ruin doesn't completely blow us out. In our sideboard, we have 1 copy of Slaughter Pact to help deal with problem creatures, 4 copies of Prismatic Ending because we're a White X deck and it deals with pretty much everything, and 2 copies of Silence to help us through Counter Wars, and also be pretty funny counterplay against Cascade decks. We have 2 copies of Spell Pierce to help out against control decks and other combo decks, and 1 copy of Echoing Truth as another way to deal with non-land permanents, but mostly to hit Blood Moon. We have 1 copy of Bantu's Last Reckoning, which is great against creature decks, but it's mostly to help us combo through a bunch of Hate Bears, and we have 4 copies of Leyline of Sanctity, which is mostly to deal with Thoughtseize effects, but can also buy us a bunch of time against burn. Alright, that's the deck tech. The full deck is only about 100 ticks, so way less than the average modern deck, and let's get into the games. Alright, round 1 with Ad Nauseam. Playing against a Lurrus deck, we are on the draw. We have Angel's Grace, Profane Tutor, Pentad Prisms, and a Thoughtseize. This hand doesn't seem the worst. It doesn't have a bunch of combo pieces, but I could Thoughtseize on turn 1, suspend Profane Tutor, and then we're in decent shape. Let's keep it and see what happens. Hopefully I don't queue into burn deck after burn deck again, but we'll see. Opponent plays Mishra's Bauble. Targeting themselves, fetching away the thing they don't want, Getting a Blood Crypt. Playing a Ragavan. Okay. We draw Temple of Deceit. Let's go Murkwater, Thoughtseize our opponent, hopefully get a discard spell, take Inquisition. Alright, so opponent has Death Shadow, K-Command, Expressive Iteration, and one unknown in their hand. I assume they're going to play Expressive Iteration off of the treasure to try to hit a land drop. But we'll see what happens. Opponent drew Steam Vents. Does not play anything. We draw Lotus Bloom. Let's play City of Brass, suspend Profane Tutor, suspend Lotus Bloom. Pass the turn. So turn 5 we'll have a lot of mana, turn 4 we'll have a tutor though. And we'll also have, presumably, a Pinthead Prism in play, unless they K-Command it. They might just use... okay. We have a lot of different sources of artifact mana, so K-Command isn't necessarily the worst thing for us right now. Opponent got a Thoughtseize off the top of our deck, that's obnoxious. I assume they Thoughtseize this, I don't know why they wouldn't. Especially since they're playing Death Shadow. Gets a Scalding Tarn. So they could Thoughtseize this and then play both the Shadows this turn. Yikes. They take an Angel's Grace, I'm sure. Yep. I assume they play 2 Death Shadows. Yep. Both of them are 3/3s currently. Our stuff ticks down. We draw Thassa's Oracle. We play Temple of Deceit. Put that on the bottom. I should have put it on top for Ragavan, whatever, I forgot. Play Pinthead Prism, we go to 12. Hopefully we don't die here. If they have a fetch land, we definitely will. Actually, hold on, they could K-Command this, deal 2 damage to themselves, and then just kill us. I guess we'll see if they see the line. If they shock themselves with K-Command, we will concede. They Thoughtseize us. Okay, we concede. Same thing. Alright, so we're bringing in Ley Lines and some amount of Prismatic Ends. All 4 Ley Lines. Cut an Ad Nauseam, cut an Unlife, cut a Sleight of Hand, cut both the Thoughtseizes. Because Ragavan is very annoying. At least 2 Prismatic Ends are coming in, maybe 3, we'll see. I like Pact of Negation since they have blue mana. They're playing K-Commands and I don't like that. So I think we cut 2 Lotus Blooms, bring in 3 Prismatic Ends. Try it like that. We'll see what happens. I will take the play. What do we have in our hand? Angel's Grace, Lotus Bloom, Thassa's Oracle, Pact of Negation. I assume a card's going to get Thoughtseized, which means we're only going to have 1 combo piece. I think we have to mulligan this. This seems a lot better. We will keep, get rid of Pact of Negation. So we have Phyrexian Unlife, 2 Tutors, and Thassa's Oracle. This means they can Thoughtseize us, and we still have 3 combo pieces, at least eventually. It's not quite as good as having a Leyline in play with these 3 cards in hand, but still pretty decent as far as redundancy goes. Opponent has a Ragavan on turn 1 because they always do. Why wouldn't they? Opponent mulligan to 6 for it at least, right? Yeah. And opponent passes. We draw Gemstone Mine. We did want lands, so that's good. Suspend Profane Tutor, pass the turn. Probably just going to stick Phyrexian Unlife next turn. if they don't Thoughtseize it or counter it. Because then, in that scenario, we only need 3 lands to be able to Thassa's Oracle Spoils of the Vault. Opponent gets our Serum Visions. I assume they're going to cast it. DRC, Mishra's Bauble, and then cast a very good Serum Visions because it scries you 3 times. Puts Kroxa into the graveyard. No Thoughtseizes, please. Shoxin Watery Grave, cast Serum Visions. No Thoughtseizes, please. Yeah, I think I want to stick Phyrexian on life instead of casting Profane Tutor, or suspending Profane Tutor, rather. Opponent has 1 mana up. They could have a Spell Pierce. They probably have them in their sideboard. Opponent's going to Mishra's Bauble us to see what we draw. That's fine. We get a land. We will play the land. Cast on life. Cross your fingers. They have a Spell Pierce. Okay. We will not pay for the Spell Pierce. DRC is online. They can't currently get Kroxa back, but they could if they Mishra's Bauble us this turn. Opponent gets a Temple of Enlightenment with their Ragavan. That's fine. Opponent Thoughtseizes us. That's obnoxious. Takes our Thassa's Oracle. So we have a Profane Tutor. What do we want to get? I assume we're suspending Profane Tutor here. Kroxa could come back pretty soon, so that could be annoying. They might just counter this one. Is it good? Yeah, they're countering it. Drawn on the lock. Okay. Good lord. Hilarious. We draw the Leyline. Alright, so spend Profane Tutor. Play Gemstone Mine. Pass the turn. Our opponent can get back Kroxa next turn. Which means we're pretty much boned unless we just draw like Phyrexian on life and then a combo piece and then get to Tutor and they don't have any interaction for it. They Thoughtseize us, take our Leyline, that's fine. Opponent hits us for a bunch. I assume gets Kroxa back, deals us 3 more damage. Takes a Thassa's Oracle off the top with Ragavan. So we have to draw Phyrexian on life this turn in order to still have a chance. And even then it's not really particularly likely. They do not get back Kroxa. Alright. We draw Penthead Prism and we're dead. Okay. GG's to our opponent. Hopefully we'll do better in the rest of the league. Alright, round 2 of Ad Nauseam. Our opponent won the die roll. They're playing a Lurrus deck again. We have a pretty good hand. This is a very traditional Ad Nauseam deck hand. We actually have Ad Nauseam in our opener. We have Phyrexian on life. 4, 5, 6, 7. Because of Phyrexian on life and Ad Nauseam, that means we could actually win on turn 4 with Ad Nauseam and Lotus Bloom because you only need 7 mana to cast Ad Nauseam and then Thassa's Oracle, so we will keep this. It's very satisfying to have the combo in your opening hand. Opponent plays a Forest. Elvish Reclaimer, okay. So it looks like they're the Reclaimer Urza's Saga deck that I've been seeing lately, which is really spicy. I like it a lot. It looks very much like the Legacy Lands deck, and I'm a big fan of that one. Seachrome Coast, Serum Visions. We don't want the second Lotus Bloom. We don't want more lands. We will suspend Lotus Bloom, pass the turn. We have Angel's Grace, so that's a backup for Phyrexian on life now. Opponent hits us for 1, which makes me think they might not have a second land drop. They do have a second land drop. Why would they not want to... Or they're just going to play Wrenn and 6? Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. Opponent pluses Wrenn and 6, doesn't have a fetch land in their graveyard, so that's fine. We roll down Lotus Bloom. Love playing Lotus Blooms in my decks. They are very satisfying, even if they're not always the best. Swamp, suspend Profane Tutor. Yeah, there's something... I just really like Lotus Bloom a lot. I played it for a very long time in Eggs, and then I played it in a Dragonstorm deck that was basically just a meme for a while. Opponent Thought Seizes us. We have the Profane Tutor suspended now, so it actually means we have redundancy for all of our combo pieces, so that's fine. And our opponent's playing a Jund list, which is interesting. Takes Phyrexian on life. I mean, that's fine. That could set us back a turn if we don't draw Pinhead Prism or another on life here. Or a Thassa's Oracle or a Spoils of the Vault. So if we draw a combo piece, basically we get to still try to go off on turn 4. Let's see. Roll down our suspend cards. Like, I know that suspend cards are vulnerable to Chalice on 0 and Void Mirror, but I still like playing them a lot. Okay, we drew Spoils, so we're just gonna Profane Tutor to get Thassa's Oracle now. And that'll be the plan. Play Clearwater Pathway, pass the turn. Yup. We'll see if our opponent has another Thoughtseize or similar. Even if they do, we're in a decent spot. Opponent Inquisitions. I assume they take Spoils. Might take Angel's Grace. Either way, we have a Tutor coming down. Takes Angel's Grace. That's fine. Because they're playing Jund colors, I don't necessarily trust permanence in play. Opponent activates Wrenn and 6. That's fine. Plays another Elvish Reclaimer. They have 1 card in hand. Hits us for 4. Yeah, not having fetch lands for the Reclaimers or for the Wrenn and 6 is kind of unfortunate for our opponent. Profane Tutor is going to get an Angel's Grace here. So then if we draw Thassa's Oracle, which there are still 4 of in the deck, we can win automatically. Because I'm sure 1 red and 1 card in hand isn't going to do anything to that. And if not, we can win next turn with Ad Nauseam and Angel's Grace. Gets Angel's Grace. Draw for turn. Thassa's Oracle. Well, that was a very smooth game. Cast Angel's Grace. Cast Thassa's Oracle. And Spoils of the Vault. Damn. Sometimes the Doomsday plan just works. Easy peasy. Sweet. Alright, what do we want to bring in? I can't imagine that they're playing Blood Moons. It's pretty likely they have other permanent disruptions, so Prismatic End is probably correct. We saw... I think we saw Inquisition and Thoughtseize, or was it just one? Thoughtseize... And... okay, we just saw Thoughtseize. I think I still want Leylines, because they're probably playing Inquisitions, since they're playing Jund deck. Let's get rid of our Thoughtseizes. Let's get rid of 1 Phyrexian on life, since I don't trust it so much against this type of deck. One Pact of Negation, probably. Although they could have Endurance, maybe. But Leyline can stop Endurance, because I'm pretty sure it says target player. Ditch a Sleight of Hand, ditch an Ad Naus, ditch one more Sleight of Hand. That seems fine. Let's see if this works. We might wind up taking out like Lotus Blooms or something, depending on if we see Chalices or Void Mirrors. But we'll get to it when we get to it. Alright, we have double Leyline, Angel's Grace, Serum Visions, Lotus Bloom. This hand's not the best. Serum Visions is useful, but it means we have to play Gemstone Mine on turn 1, and that's not the strongest thing ever. I think I got a mulligan. Alright, Thassa's Oracle, Leyline, Pact of Negation. Still not the best, but I don't really want to go further. Let's keep. Get rid of... I think the Gemstone Mine. Put Leyline into play. Okay. So we are looking for 2 combo pieces, but we have Protection and we have a Thassa's Oracle. So that's a decent start at least. Opponent plays Overgrown Tomb. Hopefully that means that they... and it's tapped, so hopefully it means that they kept a hand with a bunch of discard effects. We draw Spoils of the Vault. We are getting there. We are getting there. Pass the turn. And it's really easy to draw one of the white combo pieces because there's 6 of them, and we have 5 tutors to try to find them. Opponent plays a Forest, plays... Grimflayer. Interesting. So this is like a very traditional, like, Delirium-y John deck. It just plays Aluris instead of Lilianas and stuff, from what I can tell. And we draw the Angel's Grace. Okay. So we just need to draw land now. Which makes me feel a little silly for putting back the 1 land instead of Pact, but I like having the Pact just in case. And we would have only had 1 spell in our hand otherwise. And that feels kind of bad. There's a decent chance they can get rid of Leyline of Sanctity. They are playing a deck with Golgari colors. Usually they have plenty of removal spells for non-land permanents. Opponent hits us with Grimflayer. Do a little bit of Self-Mill / Scry. Puts an Elvish Reclaimer, a Lightning Bolt. Just Elvish Reclaimer and Lightning Bolt. Okay. Does opponent have a 3rd land? They have a Goyf. Do they have a 3rd land? They do not. Interesting. Do we have a land off the top? We have a Spoils of the Vault off the top. That is pretty good still. I'm going to pass the turn. Depending on what they do, I think I'm going to cash in one of the spoils and get... and so we put Gemstone Mine on the bottom, I think. Opponent Inquisitions themselves, that's fine. K-Command, Thoughtseize, Tarmogoyf. Okay, we're not actually in a rush. That's great. But they do hit us for... okay, we actually are kind of in a rush. They hit us for 8. So City of Brass is our most likely land to draw. It's probably worth spoilsing for City of Brass. We only have... yeah, only a third of the cards in our deck are actually lands. So we just have to get a City of Brass in the top 9 cards of our deck, because the damage doesn't actually matter since we can cast Angel's Grace first. So, YOLO, City of Brass, please. Let's see if I die. Hopefully not, but... spoils, it does as spoils does. Hooray! Alright. I guessed right. That's fantastic. Play City of Rest. Play Angel's Grace. Play Spoils of the Vault. Damn. See if the game bugs out, because it loves to when I cast Spoils of the Vault. And Thassa's Oracle, giving ourselves one poison counter. Or not even a poison counter, I don't have Phyrexian on life, what am I talking about? So we're at neg 40, but we win easy peasy. Alright, sweet. 1-1, I'll see you in the next one. Alright, round 3 with Ad Nauseam, we won the die roll. We have Lotus Bloom, Thassa's Oracle, Spoils of the Vault. 4 lands, which is a bit much, but we have 2 combo pieces already, so let's keep it. Just gonna lead on Clearwater Pathway, Lotus Bloom, I think. Yeah. Alright, pass the turn. What is our opponent playing? They're not playing a Lurrus deck, thankfully, but they are playing something with Polluted Delta, so it might still be bad for us. Steam Vents. Looks like Ragavan. So Steam Vents, Ragavan, no Lurrus, Mishra's Bauble means probably the Murktide Delver style deck, which could certainly make things complicated. So spending Lotus Bloom on turn 1 doesn't necessarily leave anything up to the imagination for what we're playing. Let's play Murkwater Pathway, pass the turn. So we still need to draw one of the white combo pieces. And we need to figure out how to get through this counter war, because their deck does play forces. At least most likely. Ragavan hits us, gets our Angel's Grace. That's sad. I wanted that Angel's Grace. Yep. We draw a Gemstone Mine. Alright, let's play the island since they know about it, and we need the blue mana anyway. Pass the turn. Unless we find both another combo piece and a Thoughtseize, I don't really foresee game 1 at least going well for us. Hits us with Ragavan. Ragavan gets us Spoils of the Vault. That's annoying. Could have used that to dig for another combo piece at least, but here we are. And our opponent is not YOLOing with it, unfortunately. We cast Lotus Bloom. Let's see if they spend a counterspell on this. That'd be kind of nice. They do not. We played Temple of Enlightenment, Scry. Unfortunately, we got to Scry Ad Nauseam to the bottom because we want that in our deck. And we don't want our opponent to cast it. Opponent bolts us. Opponent hits us for 2 with Ragavan. We go to 11. Opponent gets Seachrome Coast. That's fine. Honestly, whenever they're not getting a Thoughtseize off of Ragavan, I'm pretty pleased about it. Opponent casts Expressive Iteration. They have a shit ton of mana from Ragavan. We draw. Another Lotus Bloom. Let's cast Let's cast Thessa's Oracle. See if we can scry some. They used a lightning bolt on our face, so they might not have appropriate removal for it. We get to scry. Let's put Serum Visions on top. Play Gemstone Mine. And suspend Lotus Bloom. Pass the turn. Yeah, I don't imagine that we're going to be able to get back in this game after how long our opponents had Ragavan and how little we've been drawing useful cards. Opponent Unholy Heats our Thessa's Oracle, hits us with Ragavan. Yup. My god. Opponent gets our Serum Visions. We knew about that. Opponent casts it. Scry's double bottom at least. That's something, I guess. Lotus Bloom ticks down. We get another land. We've drawn so many freaking lands. We only have 20 in the deck. We've drawn 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, almost half. And our opponent has exiled one. So we've seen half of the lands in our deck in the top 16 cards. Well, not really 16, we've scryed a couple times, but you know what I mean. It's an abnormal amount of lands, is the point. But variance gets you sometimes, so I can't really complain about it. Opponent plays a land. Hits us with Ragavan. Monkey gets a land, because that's all we have in our deck, apparently. Lotus Bloom ticks down, we get a Serum Visions. We will cast Serum Visions, see if it resolves. We get a Thoughtseize. Put Sleight of Hand on top, put Gemstone Mine on top of that. Play City of Brass. Pass the turn. So Thoughtseize means that can get rid of one counterspell. I assume they have multiple counterspells in their hand since they have 7 freaking cards. And they haven't played any other creatures. But opponent's going to get a dud with Ragavan this turn at least. And then if we happen to draw a combo piece, or happen to Sleight of Hand into one rather, we might be able to do something with that. Get a second Lotus Bloom. Yup. Cast Sleight of Hand. Let's get Phyrexian on life. Alright, let's see if they bolt us. They've already used one bolt. It's more likely they have counterspells than more bolts at this point, I think, but either way. We're probably just dead here. Lightning Bolt, Counterspell, 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 Archmage's Charm. Jesus God, alright, I'm just gonna concede. That shit's ridiculous. Alright. Concede. Yeah, that's a really stacked hand for our opponent. And they can cast pretty much all of them too because all these treasures. Okay. We bring in Silence. We bring in some amount of Prismatic Endings. I don't think they play Blood Moon. They could, I guess. We bring in Spell Pierce. Let's cut one Ad Nauseam, one Phyrexian on life. Sleight of Hand. I think I want to cut down on Lotus Blooms against them. I don't want to cut Thoughtseize. I think I cut the Demonic Bargain, because Phyrexian on life probably sticks if it resolves. Do I cut Sleight of Hand for another Prismatic End? Maybe I cut Lotus Whims and have all the prismatic endings. Just so I can definitely deal with Ragavan. Or Void Mirror, which they also could definitely have. Yeah, let's do it like that. Sideboarding very heavily. But we'll at least have appropriate interaction. We won the die roll. Doesn't really mean anything at this point, but let's see. Only one land. I think we got a mulligan this. Alright, we have more lands this time. I think... What do I want to cut? Let's get rid of Silence. I think I want the early Prismatic End for Ragavan. Play Darkslick Shores, pass the turn. Spirebluff Canal. Passes. Am I going to look like a fool for having this Prismatic Ending? I guess I am. Alright, we draw land. Suspend Profane Tutor. That at least means I get to suspend my Profane Tutor on time and not have to spend my turn 2 just using Prismatic End. But it also makes me wish I had Silence. Pass the turn. Opponent plays Scalding Tarn. Passes the turn. We tick down Profane Tutor. I mean, as long as they don't have a clock on us, I'm kind of fine with that. Let's play Murkwater Pathway, pass the turn. Yep. Opponent cracks Scalding Tarn. They kept a real slow hand. Opponent passes. I wonder if they draw Ragavan, gonna start dashing it to play around Prismatic End and just assume that I have it. Most Ad Nauseam decks play 4 endings in the sideboard, so it wouldn't be too ridiculous. Cast Profane Tutor. I assume they have a counterspell. They do not counter it. Interesting. I kind of want to get Ad Nauseam. Because that way I can make a couple land drops and then cast Ad Naus and try to go for it like that. Yeah, I think that's fine. If they ever tap out... Oh, that's funny. I could have tried to win this turn. I doubt I would have gotten there anyway, but I would have at least had the chance to. Ad Naus kind of acts like a Thoughtseize because it means I can force them to use a counterspell at the end of their turn. We do have a decent amount of combo pieces. I'd like to be able to Thoughtseize them or something soon. That's annoying. And we have the Gemstone Mine stuck in our hand too. Oy. Alright. I should have figured they had Blood Moon. This is bad. Alright, pass. I don't play a basic Plains in the deck anymore because it kept not being good, but hilariously in this scenario we would want to draw it so we could end the Blood Moon. Our opponent's not attacking us at least, so that's something. They're giving us plenty of time. Let's cast Serum Visions. Profane Tutor, Angel's Grace. We drew another Angel's Grace. Gotta put both these on the bottom, because we can't play them. Pass the turn. Pinthead Prism or Basic Swamp would be decent draws here. Pinthead Prism is the one that actually gets us out from under Blood Moon, possibly, though. But I assume they have plenty of counter spells. They can only cast like 1 or 2 based on their current lands, though, so that's nice. They do have a clock on us now. This is going to be a Murktide. Oh no. Yeah, it's a Murktide Regent. Okay. The clock is faster. We draw a pathway. We'll play it. It's just a mountain though, so that sucks. Pass the turn. Things are bad. Things are bad. Yeah, I definitely... Hindsight 2020 wanted to take like a Pact of Negation instead of Ad Nauseam there. I didn't really anticipate that they'd be playing Blood Moon though. We draw Spoils of the Vault. Can't even kill ourselves with that. Alright, if our opponent vaults us, we're dead. If they flash in another thing, we're dead. Let's see what happens. Opponent plays Consider, looking for Bolt, no doubt. Keeps the card on top, it looks like. And we discard. I should have just played Gemstone Mine, whatever. We'll discard Thassa's Oracle since we're not casting it anytime soon anyway. Opponent plays a land, plays Mishra's Bauble. Mishra's Bauble's us. I'm ready to concede at any moment. I'll at least draw my last card if they let us, though. Just to see. Alright, we draw. And our opponent draws. We draw Seachrome Coast. That's the game. Alright. Very sad. We assembled the combo, but Blood Moon got us. Reveal our hand, and GG's to our opponent. And I'll see you in the next round. Alright, round 4 with Ad Nauseam. We're going to keep this hand. We are 1-2 currently, so not the best start. Opponent plays Agadeem. Makes me think it's some version of the Oops All Spells deck. We'll see. Let's lead on Thoughtseize. We have 2 Lotus Blooms now, so that's pretty good. It is an Oops All Spells deck. Pentad Prism, Undercity Informer, Narcomoeba. I think we take Pentad Prism. We could also take their land, but it's likely that they draw another one of those. Let's take Pentad. Suspend, suspend. So this is going to be a pretty fast matchup, one direction or the other, probably. Opponent plays that. We tick down Lotus Blooms. We're going to play Clearwater Pathway, suspend Profane Tutor, pass the turn. Which one of us is going to combo off first? They did not draw another Pentad Prism, so that's good. Opponent plays a land. If they draw another land, they're going to be able to do the Undercity Informer thing, which could be pretty bad for us. We draw Gemstone Mine. Okay, Phyrexian on life might be able to keep us alive. I don't completely remember what the Undercity Informer combo is, but I believe that it depends on doing combat damage with Vengevines. I don't remember it that clearly though, if I'm being honest, but we'll see. Did we get there? If we get to untap, I'm pretty sure they just don't have any appropriate interaction in their main deck. They drew a land. They play Undercity Informer. Let's see what they got. They did draw a Narcomoeba, that might also mess them up. They Creeping Chill us a million times. Vengevine, Vengevine, Vengevine. Yeah, I think they have to do combat damage to kill us. So I think we're gonna Fog and have that be just enough to still be alive. I'm not seeing a Thassa's Oracle. Opponent goes to 29, we go to 6. They get a bunch of Sword of the Meeks back. Their Sword of the Meeks get back their Salvage Titan. Yep. They get a bunch of Vengevines. So like normally this would be lethal damage, but we just happen to have a Phyrexian on life. And none of this has first strike. And I don't think they can do anything other than that. It's kind of cool that this deck just also plays Goblin Charbelcher just because it can. Alright, we take 1 million damage, we got a negative 1 billion. And we win. It looks like. Cast Lotus Bloom. Cast Lotus Bloom. Cast Profane Tutor. Gets our Ad Nauseam. We draw a Pact just in case. And we cast Ad Naus. And we show you our deck to return the favor. Well, this was a very silly game. I'm really glad that I had the Thoughtseize, otherwise we would have just been dead. Because they would have been able to do that on turn 3. Yeah, this Oops All Spells deck is really sweet. I might do a video with it sometime. I need to become a bit more familiar with it, though. Okay, opponent concedes after they see all of our cards. Sweet. What do we do for this? I guess Silence could be good. Bontus doesn't really do anything. Leyline might be good. They probably bring in Thoughtseizes against us. Prismatic Ending, I doubt doesn't. Echoing Truth seems good. Echoing Truth seems decent. Silence could be good. I want to sideboard kind of heavily. It really depends on what they try to kill us with, what's good. Like, Echoing Truth is good against Charbelcher and the Vengevines at least. Spell Pierce can hit Pentad Prisms, and that's their main way to ramp against us. Silence is probably worth it too, because we can sort of see their combo turns coming, and I doubt they're going to interact with us other than that. Let's get rid of an Ad Naus. Let's get rid of a Demonic Bargain, because I don't think we have the time for it. Keep the Thoughtseize, get rid of a Sleight of Hand, another Sleight of Hand. I think I get rid of 2 Lotus Blooms. And I think maybe I don't ditch the Lotus Blooms, although they seem kind of risky. Maybe I want a Prismatic Ending, since it's a way I can interact with their Pentad Prisms. Alright, let's try it. I don't think I want to cut all the Lotus Blooms against them, because like we saw last game, they can be at least good at lining up an Ad Nauseam kill for us. Alright, we have a Pact, we have Spoils, which Spoils is probably going to get an Angel's Grace so that we can Pact like a Goblin Charbelcher or something. We can play Pentad Prism, this hand seems fine. And if they don't have a decent hand, we can Spoils for Angel's Grace still, or Spoils for Phyrexian on life, and kill them with Ad Nauseam again. Combo v combo is the type of matchup that I greatly prefer. Do I want to go ahead and get City of Brass down? I think I want to play Murkwater Pathway because I want black mana a bit more, and then I can go City of Brass next turn so I can Spoils into Angel's Grace. Suspend Lotus Bloom, pass the turn. Next turn I can play Pentad Prism. Which I might just play off the island, honestly. We'll see. But Pinhead Prism should get us... Okay, opponent has Sphere of Suns. That's fine. It's not as much ramp for them as Pinhead Prism would have been. Yield. We draw Profane Tutor, which is interesting. I still think I want to play CD Brass here, but I think I play Profane Tutor instead of... Okay, hold on, let me see. How much mana do we have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to try to win on... We're going to be trying to win on turn 4, so it's safe to Profane Tutor here, I think. City Brass means I have white mana anyway. Yeah, let's Profane Tutor. So I can Pactum Negation, and I can still Spoils for Angel's Grace if I need a counterspell. They did not play anything. That is excellent. It means they don't have a land drop, because they have so many things that can kill us for 4 mana that definitely would have got us otherwise. Alright, we play an island, we play a Pinhead Prism. We... 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think it's worth playing the other Pinhead Prism. I think I'm just going to pass. Because if I have to Spoils for an Angel's Grace, it's the same anyway. Opponent plays. Prismatic Ending. They only have 1 mana. I can Profane Tutor to get Angel's Grace. I'm going to take all my stops off. I think I Pactum Negation this. And opponent concedes. Sweet! Alright, we got the combo v combo matchup. That's all I really wanted. Alright, see you in the next one. Alright, round 5 with Ad Nauseam. Our opponent's playing a Yorion deck. Let's see if we can cobble this into a 3-2. We have 2 lands, Phyrexian on Life, Spoils, Demonic Bargain, Serum Vision's Pact. This seems like a pretty good hand. We need a little bit more lands-wise, and then we can... Actually, we only need 1 more land if we stick our Phyrexian on Life, which isn't guaranteed to stay around against a white X deck. But we could definitely do something with this hand, so let's keep it. Our opponent's on the play. They play Flooded Strand, and it looks like they're passing. Probably going to get a Triumph at end of turn if I had to guess. We draw Profane Tutor. Let's Serum Visions, see if we can draw land. Apparently we can't. Let's put both of these on the bottom. I would ideally like to draw land this turn or next, suspend Profane Tutor, and then either play Phyrexian on Life or Demonic Bargain. Yeah, opponent gets Ragan Triumph, plays a Forest, so it looks like it's probably Elementals. We draw another Profane Tutor. Alright, let's suspend one. Hopefully we draw land. Would really like to draw land. Ice Fang Codal. Okay, it looks like Blink or possibly a Court deck now. It'd be funny if this is Kiku Court again after playing against it in the last league that I recorded. Alright, Profane Tutor ticks down. Come on, untapped land on top. That's a Gemstone Mine. That'll work. Let's play a Phyrexian on Life. We have another one in our hand, so it's not the end of the world if they counter it. And if it sticks, that's great. Especially if it actually gets to stay around. Because we have a Pact of Negation and a Tutor, so we could actually possibly win on turn 4 this game. Let's see what our opponent does with their turn. They're going to have 4 mana, so it's likely they can do some amount of shenanigans. Wrenn and 6. That's not that bad of a shenanigan, if it just gets them a land. So Dovin's Veto is what we don't want them to have now. We also don't want them to have any forces, of course, but if Profane Tutor resolves, we're definitely going for the win. Alright, get Thassa's Oracle. We draw Seachrome Coast, which isn't necessarily what we want here, but it's here anyway, so... Doesn't matter how we sequence it, probably not. If they have a Dovin's Veto, I would rather them just get the spoils though, so let's start with spoils. Alright, look for Dam. We don't have it. And let's see if Thassa's Oracle resolves. Dovin's Veto is no longer enough, and Force of Negation doesn't counter Thassa's Oracle. So they have to have like a Subtlety or a regular counter spell and then a Force for Pact of Negation. Alright. Pact on your counter spell. Cross your fingers for me. No more counter spells, please. Hooray! This game's ridiculous. Alright. So what do we want? What do we want? I think we want Silence, because they're probably going to be playing some amount of Endurance. And Endurance can suck my ass. I severely doubt that they play Blood Moons. So we're probably not bringing in Echoing Truth. Prismatic Endings seem okay. And Spell Pierces seem okay. And then depending on if we lose and see more of their deck, we can modify. But Thoughtseize seems really good, Silence seems really good. Pact of Negation seems really good, so we're definitely keeping that. I think we cut one Ad Nauseam. I think we cut the Sleight of Hands, since it's just sort of tradition at this point. And I guess I'll cut the Lotus Blooms, since there's a decent chance they'll have Chalices or something to disrupt that. Let's try it like that. Their deck seems like it's decently slow, so Ad Nauseam might be good enough to just draw us cards. But it's not guaranteed. We have Spoils of the Vault, Pinhead Prism, Angel's Grace, Pact of Negation. We only have one land. But we do have a Serum Visions. And Pinhead Prism means if we draw a land, Thassa's Oracle, we could win on turn 3 with Counterspell backup. I think we gotta keep this. We draw Spell Pierce, that's not the worst. Play Serum Visions, try to get some lands on top. There's an Island and a Thoughtseize on top. I don't think we want the Thoughtseize at this point since we have a couple counter spells, but we definitely want the Island. Island kind of sucks with Pinhead Prism, but it's what we drew, so it's happening. I'm gonna play a really shit Pinhead Prism. If they counter this, that's fine. If they remove it, that's fine too, frankly. But at least gets us our mana fixing for the future. At least closer to it. But it plays a Knight of Autism. It's going to blow up our Pinhead Prism, but that's fine. I don't think I want to cash in a Spoils just to draw a land here. Yeah, I think because it's more likely that we draw an untapped land that we want than... Okay, we found a Serum Visions. That's not the best, but it might be something. Another Pinhead Prism, City Brass, Thassa's Oracle. Okay, we want both of these. We can pass. Alright, City Brass is good. It means we can pact defensively instead of just aggressively with the Angel's Grace. And it means we can play Pinhead Prism on 2 and make them have a removal spell for that. And then we actually have the combo assembled afterwards. So So that seems pretty solid, actually. Opponent plays a land. Puts Yorion into their hand. That's not too eventful. And we can actually, assuming they don't remove Pinted Prism, we can actually go for the combo with 2 counterspells as backup next turn. And that seems really good. So they have a Yorion in their hand. They didn't do anything else this turn, so I assume they don't even have a counterspell held up right now. Although they might. Ephemerate's annoying. I'm going to Spell Pierce that. Yeah, I don't want them to kill the Pinted Prism because it is our way to win next turn. Although we could still just... Yeah, we can't draw land because we know Thassa's Oracle's on top. And they didn't force or Spell Pierce. We know they have a blue card in their hand because of Yorion. If they tap out for Yorion, I think I just packed it and try to go for the win again. Get rid of stops. Pack your thing. Pack your thing. Alright, no forces in our opponent's hand, please. That's what we want. No forces. Cast Angel's Grace. We will not pay for the pact. So they have to not have a force and they have to not have an endurance. Cast Thassa's Oracle. Cast Spoils of the Vault. We got there! Alright. That was a pretty sweet match. Our opponent just wasn't able to interact with us quite quickly enough. I'm pretty satisfied with how the deck did. As we saw against the Lurrus decks that we played against, if our opponent is low to the ground and has disruption, which frankly a lot of decks do right now, a lot of specifically Ragavan decks are really bad for us, especially since we're playing Thoughtseize. But I did finally get a 3-2 again, and I'm pretty happy about that. I've been getting a lot of 2-3s on camera lately, and it's kind of sad. Let's open up the treasure chest and see what we got. Got a Thalia Avatar, Adventurer's Journal, and Play Points. Alright, that's fine. Alright, I will see you in the next video.
Hey everyone, Shoe Nice again. Well, basically, go subscribe to Tezzey's YouTube channel. And for those who made it to the end of the video, thank you.